Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next category here, and I just want to put this out there: if we're gonna beat the Brutalist
We're not going to.
score,
It's not going to
we're
happen.
gonna have to be a little bit more brief as we go here. I don't know if we're gonna do it or not.
We'll see.
I was just thinking that this is not going to happen.
I don't
But I don't
think
want
so.
to admit defeat just yet because I don't want to
Yeah.
make ourselves talk for way more than we even have to.
For sure.
As he
We'll see how
continues
this
to
goes.
talk, it's like
All right.
I'm done. I'm
Best-
done. I'm done. Good night. Good night.
Best cinematography. Dave, what do you got for best cinematography?
all right. So best cinematography. First, I have two from the same cinematographer. I have Trap and Challengers. I almost put Queer in here as well, but I left it to two. And then I have The Brutalist from Lowell Crawley, I believe. And then Nosferatu, surprise, surprise, but this may be one of the first appearances in my nominations for Nosferatu, and Nickel Boys from Jomo Frey. And any other year, if you take out Nickel Boys, this is a hard decision. But Nickel Boys does something that is almost impossible. It uses its cinematography to connect you with the individual characters. There have been movies before that have tried to do first person before, but never this successful. And Jomo Frey, I think, also did All Dirt Road's Taste of Salt, which is another stunningly beautiful poetic film. Despite the fact that we have someone who has two movies on this list, he sadly does not win Nickel Boys best cinematography, and it's kind of not close. Like I just think it's an incredible work of art. So.
There is something very special about what's going on cinematically with that movie, not just in its cinematography. We'll even talk about Ramal Ross later, I'm sure, with regard to his direction and even his adaptation process as a screenwriter. There's so much going on with Nickel Boys that is just it's why we go to the movies. It's why we love to see these things. It's a nominee for me, Jomo Frey for sure, alongside I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Jaron Blaschke for Nosferatu. Lowell Crawley for The Brutalist, Greg Fraser for Doom Part 2, and then I'm actually going to nominate Sayumbu Mukdiprum for Queer specifically. That's the one I'm going to pick, but I feel like you can really give it to him for any of these three movies. It's
pick one,
all very different, but there's something about the vibe of Queer that I think is quite great. Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I in a way, I kind of want to give it to Queer, but there's so much about that movie that's working in conjunction with its great art direction and some of the coloring of that movie. But the fact that Jomo Frey's work in Nickel Boys literally is like a part of the adaptation process for that movie. It very much is a character, a very generic thing to say about why it works so well. But when we talk about movies putting you in the shoes of someone else, this is what we mean. And this is what we mean when it does it successfully. So yeah, Jomo Frey is my winner here.
Okay, as far as my 5 nominees, you guys have touched on them all, I believe. I also have Yaron Blaschke for Nosferatu, Sayambu Mukdiprum. Again, forgive me, I'm probably butchering that, but I at least wanted to try. But I'm also going with Queer specifically for him and my nominee there. I also have Jomo Frey for Nickel Boys, The Brutalist, Lowell Crawley, and then my last one here is Greg Fraser for Dune Part 2. We've done it again, boys. We've done it
I mean,
again.
that one, it's just like, if this doesn't win the Oscar for Best Cinematography, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not just
incredible.
that it's great, it's doing something really radical. Like, that shouldn't work.
For
like,
sure.
that, if I was on your top 5 scenes, maybe that hug sequence from Nickel Boys might have been on there. Like you feel like you're being hugged by this grandmother. Like that's what it feels like. And to have a movie do that, like make you feel held, that is amazing artwork. Like
there's a tangibility to it. It actually captures an intimacy, which is really difficult.
Yeah. Yep. I also think of, and I did not know this until we did the review and we had Sophia Simonello on, and she was talking about how there's a moment between Hattie, Elwood's grandmother, played by Anjanae Ellis Taylor,
who's always amazing, by the way, in everything.
And she's incredible. And Elwood, they're sitting at a table, and there's a moment where, because the camera is acting as Elwood in the moment, and we're looking at Hattie, where the camera looks down, and it wasn't an intentional choice. It was a moment of forgetfulness from the camera person there as to what was happening, but she stays in the moment and demands that you look at me in the eyes when I'm talking to you, is more or less what she says. She says it more tenderly than what I just did.
Yes,
but
yes.
and so the camera looks back up, and so like it's just this incredible accident that happens on the day that they end up using in the film and works perfectly for the moment.
It's beautiful.
Like it's stuff like that that is just, it is phenomenal. So I agree.
That's
with
the
you.
thing.
Like it's
Yeah. To say that Joe Mofray's work here is a character in the movie is almost putting it lightly. He's giving an acting performance in many ways. Like the camera is an acting performance here.
Yeah,
it really is phenomenal. It's more than just a gimmick, and even just beyond like the technical craft of it and how it immerses you into the characters' perspectives. There are just moments here, I like frames that I just think are so gorgeous, and how they render this world, this world that is otherwise bleak, right? Given what and arduous, given what these characters are experiencing.
Yeah.
And yet the world that we're immersed into is just absolutely gorgeous. So,
and it also creates that switch that happens about halfway through the movie, and it's like
the lunch table
disorienting. Yeah, the lunch table, and you're just like, oh, we're in a different movie now. Like I'm in a different person. I'm experiencing a different world. Whoa, it is like quite a moment.
Stunning.
So yeah, I mean, he really is. It's almost like Joe Mofray should be getting nominations for Best Supporting Actor, because
it really should be. Yeah.
Almost.
Really great.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. All right, so that is Best Cinematography.